What's up, guys? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to PXA Peeks at Rad Rogers World 1. This comes to us from Interceptor Entertainment and, well, the reincarnation of 3D Realms, the well-known publisher from the 90s that Interceptor actually bought and brought back to life a few years ago after they went under. This is actually an original game from them. They've done a couple of original titles recently, up and down in quality depending on who you ask. But this really caught my attention. This game was originally kickstarted, and it beat its goal by quite a bit. It was in early access for a while, and now it's out. We're playing the GOG version here, but it is on Steam as well. And, well, this game is a platformer, and it's done in the style of old-school 90s platformers like, well, the ones you would have seen on PC, like Commander Keen, Duke Nukem, games like that. And it's supposed to be done for, you know, modern players and in a modern engine. This is running in Unreal Engine 4, actually, which is not an engine you usually see platformers in. And it's pretty cool. They're actually using an episodic business model, which I'm going to get into later, but I'm going to get this started here. So, I generally like this, but there's some weird tonal problems that I'm going to demonstrate to you here. So, we're going to skip the intro because it's fairly long, but let's jump into the first level, which has a cutscene here, and you'll see what I mean.
Let's do this!
I'll let you see this.
Wakey, wakey, sunshine! Hey, kid, I said wakey, wakey. It ain't polite to sleep during a cutscene.
Huh? A cutscene? Dusty? You're alive? Whoa! What is this place?
This is the first world, kiddo. Home to the Elder Tree. Thing is, she stopped taking my calls, and the kids have gone berserk. Let's go pay the old Birch a visit, huh? Here, take this. Let's make it dangerous to go alone.
Oh yeah! This thing is huge! So tight!
Just how I like it. And that, my friend, is how you do a cutscene.
Okay, so here's my first problem with this game. Yeah, so that writing that was in there, whole lot of fourth wall breaking, referential humor, and dick jokes, that's the writing style in this game. There's actually a setting in the menu that you can toggle that will basically tells it whether a kid or an adult is playing this, and if a kid is playing it, it turns down the more adult humor. Interceptor's last couple of games have been like this too. So yeah.
Holy shit, you're alive! Mom has gone mad. Maybe this'll help you on your way.
Yeah, Interceptor's last couple of games, which were the remake of Rise of the Triad and Bombshell, also use this style of humor. I don't know, maybe their core audience likes it, but you know what? I'm in my late 30s, and I am very much a kid at heart, but oh my god, guys. Like, I didn't even find those kinds of jokes that funny when I was a teenager. And yeah, that's the writing style in this whole thing.
The Pixelverse, kid. Looks like a glitch. Let's fix this.
So in many ways, this plays like a standard platformer, but there's these little subsections here called the Pixelverse, which I'm kind of up and down on. They get more challenging later on, but your goal is to fly your companion here through the area, dodge some traps. This is basically a tutorial one, so it's really easy, but your goal is to get them through some traps and do something that restores something in the real world here. So the story behind this game is that you are Rad Rogers, who is a kid who's obsessed with video games. And one night, he basically gets sucked into his TV, into the video game world, Captain N, the Game Master style, and that thing on your back is actually your console, who is like your foul-mouthed, rated M sort of buddy.
So cool! Let's find the other three!
Fourth wall breaking! And yeah, the checkpoints are floppy disks that do make an actual floppy disk head motion noise, which, you know what, that I can actually appreciate.
How much ammo do I have?
I thought you were a gamer. Look at the pretty colored bar on the side of the gun.
So, yeah, like, the voice acting in this is actually not that bad. The kid feels a little bit forced, but Dusty, who's your console buddy, I think his voice is done really well. I just think the writing is absolute cringe. I'm sorry. It's just, you know what? Taste is subjective. If you dig that, cool. You know, I'm not going to fault you for it, but it just, I don't like it at all. But honestly, that's really not what you're here for. So this game very much pays tribute to 90s style computer platformers. Stuff, like I said, stuff like Commander Keen, the original Duke Nukem, things like that. And I think it does that very well. I mean, I'm going to tell you right here, I love the look of this game.
You look like you could use this. So, you doing anything later?
Child sex humor! Isn't that great? No, it's not. Also reference Cliff Blazinski's crib. Anyway. Like, that's the thing. This is a game that is clearly built for people of my generation. But they, like I said, they seem to think we're all, like, angsty 15-year-olds at heart still. I don't know. I find it a weird, very weird tonal dissonance. But yeah, so the actual game itself, though, I actually really like the look of this thing. I think the art in this is actually great. Also, secret areas, of course. I think the art is great. I really love the sort of mod scene, Amiga-style music.
They forgot to put a platform here. Come on, let's try to fix it.
So yeah, so we're gonna go through this. You can see there's extra pickups in here. And all that happens in the Pixelverse here is Dusty, if he takes too much damage and runs out of pixels, which are those purple things that the enemies were dropping when I shot them, it warps you back here and you have to get more of them. Rad himself can die, and he actually has limited lives, as you can see in the upper left there. So, again, very old school platforming style here. I actually didn't die too often playing World 1 up until the boss fight, which is just unbelievably long and unfair. So this game, during early access, did not have the boss fight. They actually left the 8th level out. Now that we're in the final version, it's been added. I only got review code for this when it was very late in early access, so I decided to wait until it was final. And so there is the one big boss fight in this.
Everything I had, except this. Oh, well,
Divorce humor. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, the boss I have found to be a massive slog and incredibly unfair and cheap. I haven't actually beaten it yet. Not a fan at all, but that's the only part of this that's been super, super challenging. That said, there are a lot of hidden areas, hidden items, and other things like that scattered throughout the levels. If you want to go for 100% completion in this game, it could take you quite a while, and you could have to play a lot of the levels in very creative ways, which is cool. I like, you know, stuff like that is stuff that there's still a lot of collectibles and stuff in modern games, but it's not the same as it was back in the day. These really encouraged, games like this really encouraged exploring the level in weird and unique ways that you may not have traditionally thought of in order to find all the secrets, which is something that I always thought was really cool. Modern day games have a lot of collectibles and stuff, but it's really just, you know, looking in every single nook and cranny in a level to do it, which I don't find as fun.
Hey, kid, ever tried crystal mint? Just crystal? Here, on me. The first try is always free.
Drug dealer joke! Funny! No.
I love you, and I want you to have this small token of my affection.
Like,
Players, you let one in and they keep coming, like ants they are. Oh, take this and scram.
do people think that stuff is funny? Like, I'm asking legitimately. Maybe I just don't get it. There's a reference not everyone's gonna get. So, yeah, but I mean, this is a 90s platformer through and through. There's no doubt about that. But that's not a bad thing. I see there's one of the really difficult to get collectibles up there, actually. I believe it's called the Lion Coin or something like that. They're very hard to spot, and when you do spot them, they're very hard to get. And yeah, I've only gotten a couple of them. But in most of the levels, your goal is to collect 4 of these things, which they call exit chunks, which seems like a really weird name to me. But you get 4 of those, and it unlocks the door. And the neat thing is even when you unlock the exit to the level, it doesn't force you to leave right away. If you want to stick around and go back to other parts of the level you previously visited to try to find all the items, you can do that if you like. And I like that it gives you that freedom. Yeah, there are various different weapons you can pick up, as you've seen, and as you go through the different levels in this, you'll run into different kinds of enemies, different types of platforming challenges. These things will get a lot harder. See those red enemies that are appearing out of nowhere in here? Dusty can sort of jujitsu those things to get extra pixels, because in some levels you actually have to get him up to this little sort of meditation node here and use his pixels to fill the thing up in order to be able to progress. And if you don't have enough, you have to get more, and that's how you do that. So some people are going to dig this, I think some aren't. You know, if you're more into the 3D platformers of the PlayStation era and beyond, this might seem a little primitive. And I'll be honest with you, it was pretty easy for the most part. Like, a lot of this, the levels in this I ran into, from a straight-up challenge actually trying to get to the end perspective, I didn't find them that tough. Which, again, is weird, because this seems to be a platformer designed for people of my generation who've been around games for a long time, and yet...
4 exit chunks.
There we go.
Time to get out of here.
So we open the door. And yet, I don't know, it doesn't seem that hard, which is a little bit of a weird dissonance.
Looks like the door's open. We did it.
So when it, like one of these old 90s games, it totals up everything you got. So I got 96% completion on that level. My total completion of the game so far is 49%, as you can see at the top there. And yeah, it goes on like this. You know, if you like 90s platformers, this plays exactly like that, and it looks really, really nice. You know, the writing is super cringy, but there isn't a lot of story in this. The one-liners are a little, but you don't hear them that often, so it's not that big a deal. And hey, if you like this style of writing, then it's going to be right up your alley. Now, here's what's really weird about this thing. This game is called Rad Rogers World 1, right? That's because in this whole package, which costs $10, there's only World 1. Interceptor has decided to make this episodic. Now, when you hear episodic video game, most people think about the Telltale series of narrative adventure games or Valve's failed attempt to make Half-Life 2 an episodic thing. That's the approach that Interceptor has decided to take with this. They are going to be releasing different worlds later on as standalone independent games. And they have actually gone so far as to say that they'll be doing bundles later on, but they'll be releasing the worlds independently, and people can choose to play them in whatever order they feel like, or, you know, pick and choose what game worlds they want to play. That's a really weird idea. I mean, I applaud them for being, you know, sort of brave about it. I mean, Interceptor has taken some rather... they are a small team that has some major financial backing, so they seem to be getting encouraged to take weird creative risks like this and do things that other devs and even small publishers typically won't do, which I applaud. But an episodic platformer? I don't know, that seems strange to me. Like, how are you going to have any coherence? I guess the story is not really what they're aiming for in this, but it seems weird to me that you're not going to have any coherence. It's going to be very hard to maintain coherence in the story if people are going to be able to skip around.
This bullshit. I'm giving everything away, and I'm becoming a monk. You can have my stuff.
Okay. It seems weird to me that they're going to split things up that way. Like, I just don't understand how you're going to have any narrative consistency or just not weirdly confuse and fragment the player base doing it that way. I mean, I guess it's a single-player game, and the story is not exactly its strong suit, so maybe they just don't care that much, or they're designing it around that method. It's a cool concept, but I don't know, and like, they don't know how many worlds they want to make. It kind of sounds like they're going to keep making worlds as long as people ask for them. So I don't know if this is just going to go on indefinitely or what's going to happen, but it's... I don't know. It like I said, it seems weird to me. It just seems very, very weird. And also, like what keeps people coming back to Telltale games is the fact that they want to see where the story goes, right? That's what gets people to buy season passes. That's what gets people, when an episode doesn't come out for sometimes months at a time, to go, oh yeah, I'm going to go back to that because I want to see how that goes. You know, that's the draw, right? But these are 90s platformers that don't have much of a story to them, so if they take 6 months to a year to put out Rad Rogers World 2, are people gonna go, oh yeah, I want to see where that goes, or I really want more 90s platforming, and they're gonna jump back into it? I don't know if they are. This kind of, like, I probably would because I'm that person, but most people I know who remember Commander Keen and stuff from back in the day might pick this up, play it, and be like, oh, that was a fun romp. You know, I had a good couple hours with that, because this episode's about 2 hours long, maybe. And they might be like, yeah, you know, I had a good fun time with that, and I got my fix, and yeah, I'm kind of done with that. Like, I don't know. Based on what I know about the type of people who would probably buy this now, it feels like that would be a formula for real big-time diminishing returns. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, I ain't no game dev, I ain't no game business guy, that's for damn sure. And Interceptor seems to be very much based around trying things differently, you know, trying out different formulas and seeing what sticks. It looks like they have the financial and creative freedom to do that. So I applaud them for the experiment. I seriously do. I'm really curious to see if it's going to work out. Like I said, I would play more of this series, but I like platformers, and I really, really like 90s platformers, not just from a quick nostalgia perspective, but from a, yeah, I really enjoy that type of game in general perspective. So for that reason, I would probably play that. But would everyone else? I don't know. I really don't know. But I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, this game wears its inspiration on its sleeve to the point where it actually references those inspirations very heavily in its sort of fourth wall breaking comedy. So, I mean, it knows exactly what it is, and it makes no bones about it. And if you're the type of person who likes that stuff like I do, you'll probably enjoy this. I think like I said, I think the writing is absolute cringe. I think the writing in Bombshell was absolute cringe as well. And the writing in Rise of the Triad, there wasn't that much of it, but that game was a really good game, but it was not a good narrative at all. And if that's the style they want to go with, and if you like it, then good on you. It is not for me at all. I haven't actually tried turning this to child mode. I don't know if that just changes the writing or if it actually makes the game easier. I suspect if it changes the writing, all it's going to do is take out the swear words or whatever. I don't think it's probably not going to make it any better. It's just going to make it less offensive, and anyone who knows me know that offense is not my problem at all. It doesn't really affect my enjoyment of the game itself. It just makes me go, ugh, every time Dusty speaks. I'm sorry. I don't like it at all. I really think they could have done better. I'm not being a prude and saying, oh, a 90s, you know, platformer with a kid protagonist shouldn't have swearing or anything in it. That's not what it is. It's just, I don't like fourth wall humor very much, and I just think, you know, dick jokes are, I just don't think dick jokes were ever really that funny, unless it's being done ironically, which it kind of doesn't feel like this is. So, I don't know, that's my opinion on that. But enough about the writing. I think the game itself is really good. I love the look of this thing. I think it looks good. I think it sounds pretty good. I really love the music. You know, I love the like the background level of detail here and everything. Like, they didn't skimp on the backdrops or anything like that. I think the animation is pretty solid. There's some good enemy and weapon variety. Could have been a little bit more, but it's also just World 1. I also think that at least to this point, the last boss fight is incredibly cheap and frustrating. I think it really breaks the flow of what is otherwise a, frankly, not very hard game. I think to have the game in general not be too bad, and then to have the final boss just be a massive kick in the nuts is... I don't like that kind of design. I don't like the, hey, you thought this was easy? Well, guess what? Like, that's not my scene. I'm not a fan of that. But, you know, again, some people might like that. I just think they could have done more with that, and I think it could have been a little bit more interesting. And I really don't know about their episodic business model. Like I said, I'll play these games as they come out, but I wonder what kind of a long tail it has. I'm curious if the experiment works out. You know, $10 for 2 hours, maybe 3 to 4 if you really want to be thorough and 100% it. Some people might not think that's a great value. I don't think it's bad. I think it's a reasonably good value. I've played a lot of 2-hour games for the same or more money that I thought were crap. Gone home. But they're reviving a largely long forgotten genre that I really loved, and taking an interesting approach to it at the same time. You know, would it have been better if they maybe had to wait 2 or 3 more years to put this out, but were able to put it out as a full experience with, you know, 8 worlds in it for $50? Would that have been better? I don't know, to be honest with you. So, it's hard to say. But I'm happy to see this genre revived. I'm happy to see it revived by people who clearly get what made it good, you know, writing aside. I mean, the Commander Keen games basically had no writing at all, so, I mean, what's the basis for comparison there, really, right? But I'm glad to see it made by a team who appreciates old school design and what was good about it, and is able to make a modern game and a modern looking game with those mechanics and not forget the roots, not forget what was cool about this idea, and just applying modern methods and aesthetics to it rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and screwing it up, which is what so many developers and in particularly big publishers try to do with old genres and rarely succeed at, if I'm honest with you. But also, for a game that looks like this, it looks very good. It does not look state-of-the-art, and yet it doesn't always run very well. Like, I'm on a 1080, and you can probably see it in the video, there's a lot of frame stutter going on. This is just a 1080p with all the detail turned up. And, I mean, this game looks really good, but so does Battlefield 1, which runs at, like, 120-plus frames a second on this computer constantly. So that's a little strange. Maybe a little bit of performance tuning could be in order, but by and large, it's very good. The controls are very responsive. I've been playing with an Xbox One controller, but you can play this with the keyboard and mouse as well. With the, you see, you get the sort of crosshair on the screen there. It works well. So I'm glad they did that. And this is, at this point, a PC exclusive. I would not at all be surprised to see this come to consoles later. It would be easy enough to do, obviously, since they're on Unreal Engine 4. But at present, it is not on consoles. It is only on PC. So they have taken the time and put in the work to make it playable in all the various ways PC players would want to play it, which I like very much as well. So I can definitely appreciate that. But I think this is overall pretty good. You know, maybe just plug your ears whenever Dusty speaks, if that's that big a problem for you. But otherwise, it's a pretty good. Rad Rogers World 1 is a pretty good time. You can get this on Steam for $10. $10 US, so it's $12.99 Canadian. It is available on GOG as well, which is the version I'm playing. If you do want to pick this up on GOG, use the link in the description below this video. That would help me out a great deal. The referral gives me a tiny little piece of your purchase to help support my channel. I would appreciate that very much. And yeah, this is definitely a for fans of the genre game, but it does pretty well by those fans, I would say. So yeah, Rad Rogers World 1, if you're into 90s platformers, definitely check it out. I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. Just maybe don't listen to Dusty talk so much. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That does help me out a great deal. If you want to watch something else, check out the videos on screen now, and don't forget to follow @PXA Media on Twitter to find out about new stuff first.